Hello, my name is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Contradictions Book Tag. I was tagged by Daniela Silver Scribe. Go check out her channel. She has wonderful, fantastical reviews of books and just a lovely channel to stumble upon. So I just recommend that you go check her out. The original tag was done by Daniela from the channel If Only a Page. So let's get started. I might be looking down a little bit to look at the questions, and that is why I am occasionally looking down. Number 1, I love this genre, but I didn't like this book. The first thing that came to mind for this was a fantasy book, because I love fantasy, called The Red Queen. It wasn't a bad book, I don't think. I just was not able to get into it. It wasn't for me. I'm sure a lot of people really enjoyed it, but I DNF'd it just because I wasn't connecting to the book. So that is the reason why that is a fantasy that I did not really enjoy. 2, I rarely read this genre, but I love this book. I am more of a historical romance reader than a contemporary romance reader. And so the book that I chose for this that I actually liked, even though I don't read the genre very much, is The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I love the trope of reintroduced love and friend to lover. It had a little bit of both in there, and also it was a very slow burn romance. I am not a big fan of insta love at all. I also do not really want to read about like sex scenes. I don't want to have graphic sex scenes. So I don't think there was much of that. I felt like one of them was coming on and I flipped a page because I didn't want to read it if it was. But if there was a lot of graphic stuff in there, I somehow missed it because it seemed like a pretty sweet romance. So I definitely recommend that if you're like me and you're a smut avoider. All right, number 3, I love this trope, but I didn't like this book. I enjoy enemy to lover tropes. I always find that fun, but there was a YA fantasy book called Serpent and Dove by, I think the author's name was Shelby Mahurin, that I read, and I didn't really like it. I felt like I like when women are strong characters, but I don't like it when it's intended for teens, as young adults usually are, if the character is raunchy. And I felt like, she was a strong female, which is wonderful, but I felt like she was just kind of raunchy, the main character, and I just don't think that is something that we want teens to be emulating. All right, number 4, the question is, I hate this trope, but I loved this book. Okay, I really, 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 really don't usually love like miscommunication tropes where like a miscommunication makes everything go wrong. And yet I do love most of what Cassandra Clare writes. So the second book in the Last Hours series, which is Chain of Thorns, had a big miscommunication trope at one point towards the end of the book that is going to be probably messing everything up in the third book in the trilogy, and I still enjoyed the book quite a bit. Number 5, I love this author, but I didn't like this book. I love Liane Moriarty. She is an Australian writer, and she always has things that are so mysterious and interconnectedness of her characters, and I just feel like she is very clever and picks things about the human nature that are just so interesting. With her character development, it's very character driven, but there's always a great plot too, except I didn't feel like that was the case with 9 Perfect Strangers. I thought the characters were pretty well developed, but the storyline just, I kind of guessed some of the twists and turns, which I usually cannot at all really predict with her, and I just did not really connect with the story. I know it is very popular, so I may be alone in this opinion because I know that it was even made into a Hulu series. So I am probably an outlier as far as that goes. All right. Number 6, I previously disliked a book by this author, but I loved this book. I'm going to go with Holly Black on this one. Some of her earlier fairy stories I did not connect with that much, except there was one that was written several years ago that I read and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was The Darkest Part of the Forest, and it is a standalone. I thought it was just, I don't know, I felt like it was a beautiful fairy story. All right, number 7. I love this cover, but I didn't like this book, and I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to go back to my first answer, The Red Queen. I thought that was just such a beautiful, striking cover, and I just really enjoyed it, but the book just didn't really do it for me. Number 8, I don't like this cover, but I loved this book. Now, this is a book that I think is just such a well-done story, and it's called The Wednesday Wars by Gary D. Schmidt. And it is a middle grade novel set in the time of the Vietnam War. And there's this one 7th grade boy who, he's like the only one in his class that on Wednesday mornings or Wednesday afternoons doesn't leave school early to go to like Catholic catechism class or something, I think it was. And so his teacher, I think, was a little irritated because otherwise she would get to go home early. But she decides to have him reading Shakespeare while he's in there. And she and him actually develop a really special relationship. He really develops a love for this teacher. I think her name is Mrs. Baker, who has a husband that's gone in the Vietnam War. And he really just is grateful for the introduction to Shakespeare that she gives him. But I thought the cover was just, it looked like a book that was just like kind of not a great novel. It looked like it was just maybe something else another kid would read, like Captain Underpants or something like that. It didn't seem like a book that would really reach out and grab you like this one did. I really recommend the Wednesday Wars for no matter what age you are. But if you have kids that are in middle grade, I just think it's an excellent book. All right. Last but not least, tag someone. So I am going to tag Littlefoot Reader. She has a wonderful channel where she usually talks about wonderful fantasies, and I enjoy her. She has a great personality. And I also want to tag Pride and Paperback, who is a very eclectic reader, and I really just enjoy her reviews. And I love that she's also from Oklahoma. So no pressure to you ladies if you don't want to do it. I know a lot of people have already done this and you may have already been tagged. But thank you for coming to my channel today, everybody. If you like this, feel free to subscribe and like and comment so that I can engage with you and get to know you better. And you can find me on social media at Kelly Reads a Lot on Facebook and Instagram. Have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.